as Bitcoin bounces back above $100,000, it has indeed confirmed several signals that I think are very, very compelling here for the boo laws, perhaps preceding a major price explosion. Of course, I want to follow up on yesterday and the day before that short-term analysis as well. We did get the bounce that we were looking for yesterday, but with that bounce, several things have actually happened alongside that, which I do believe puts the ball back in the boo laws court for, continuation, I suppose, sooner rather than later. First and foremost, we did see that Bitcoin confirmed a local low right here, thus confirming hidden bullish divergence. And it is now looking strikingly similar to something that we've been alluding to for the past couple of weeks in 2020. Very, very strange stuff. Again, I'm not a big fractal guy. I don't think that they, making them work in that way is very, very difficult. But I'll just show you what I'm looking at or what we've been looking at, and you make the decision for yourself. Again, look at this structure right here. Look at the hidden bullish divergence right here. And you can see this first spike up in the late portion of November, then a correction to end off November. Then Bitcoin, bounces back up, kind of goes sideways here, and then we do see this secondary higher low coming in on the 10th-ish of December. The dates and structure very eerily similar here. So let's go back to 2020 before the last mega macro breakout preceding the 2021 bull market, and you can see a very, very similar thing over here. Bitcoin grinded up against the highs. In this case, it was on a nearing an all-time high breakout. You get this first spike up late November, like almost to the T, this one on the 24th and 25th, then coming down a couple days later for a pretty significant correction. This one actually coming down from top to bottom, a little over 10%, and then pops back up, trades a bit sideways, and then comes back down on the 11th of December, putting in a low right here, and for about a 10% or a little bit greater than 10% correction. Here's the thing though, you can see that same drive hidden bullish divergence here around just above 50 on the daily RSI. Again, very, very similar to what we're looking at right here, as we do see daily RSI a little bit higher in this case, 56 versus the other one was about 52, but still very much comparable. And that same sort of drive of hidden bullish divergence. Again, looking at the dates right here, yesterday was December 10th. Again, very similar right there. And then, of course, back on over here, 26th of November and 25th, respectively. This one producing about a almost 10% drawdown on that first, on that first comeback. And then, of course, this one over here, about 9%. So very much comparable right there. Again, this would not be the primary portion of my analysis, but I do think it is rather compelling. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe because it's easy to follow, maybe because people really believe in it. Fractals are a great engagement tool. Like if you want to get popular on Twitter, post fractals. I'm telling you right now, you will fucking explode. But the problem is that, people start to extrapolate on fractals from like, hey, let's just copy and paste the price action from one cycle to the next. That's never worked ever, like literally never. So, that I'm very much against. But in this case, at the end of the day, even if you get rid of all of that, all of that similarity to 2020, it is still an uptrend, right? The trend is your friend. And in this case, we do just see another higher low alongside hidden bullish divergence. So Bitcoin is knocking on the door, of a potential major breakout right here. That does imply that we do have a major invalidation for this, meaning that if Bitcoin violates this next condition, all the rest of it goes out the window, or at least I would want to come back to it tomorrow and see what the hell is going on. But in this case, Bitcoin, as long as it's above this red 5 exponential moving average right here on the daily time frame, which is 99,600, or let's just call it 99.5, make it a nice round even number. On a daily closing basis, as long as Bitcoin's above there, ball is in the boo laws court, upside more likely, perhaps significant more upside actually. If Bitcoin starts to actually close below there, 99,500, consolidation continues to trend more sideways, and perhaps we actually do have an actual breakdown here. But it is looking more and more like Bitcoin boo laws are going to take the ball in their court. Again, this is all within the context of extreme low volatility over here. Yes, it can stay lower for longer. That has happened in the past, but you can see, especially since July of this past year, all stints into the low volatility region were short-lived. In fact, this one already, the longest one that we've seen in a long time. Somewhat comparable to June, but even then, still quite different. I suppose this would actually be most comparable at this point to, July of 2023, actually. Although it is certainly still less than that. So It is getting quite coiled up here is what I'm trying to say. Bitcoin is building up a big case. It's hard not to see this one breaking out to the upside. Again, I can be massively fucking wrong about this, but that's why we have invalidations. Anyways, moving on from there, looking at the daily stochastic oscillator, we do see that the daily stochastic oscillator is actually still positioned to the downside on CME, but it will turn up today if Bitcoin closes above 101,000, Jesus Christ, it's hard to say 6 digits, $101,623 on CME. Bitcoin's actually trading about $600 below that right now. For spot price action, it's actually already crossing up. So perhaps preceding that, and the pivot right there is $100,000. So again, I do like that $99,500 number as a line in the sand. As long as Bitcoin's above there, upside again, significantly more likely. Closing a daily below there, have to come back to the drawing board and reassess. Anyways, moving on from there, I did want to once again revisit our December price statistics. Slightly different angle right here. I want to look at a few different things, but first we should remind ourselves where we're at in the grand scheme of things. Again, Bitcoin December lows. We do expect during macro uptrends, these come relatively early on within the month, around the 4th day of December. People have been like really fucking mean to me about doing these studies, by the way. But the funny thing is, when is Bitcoin's low for December been thus far? The 5th. So very much within the confines of that data. In fact, whenever the macro trend's been up, we've never seen a low in December that was later than the 9th day of December. Just, somewhat interesting perhaps, as well as Bitcoin December opens to lows. So I'm measuring here the open of December and then measuring just to the low of the month, and found that, again, when the macro trend is up, the average differential between the open and the low of the month is about 6.5%. Well, what has it been thus far for December? Let me actually figure out where December started over here. Here we go. Yes, from open to the low, 6.25%. Again, these things don't need to work out perfectly, but when you do see it very much within the confines of that data and like pretty much bang on the average, it's hard not to look at it as, that's more likely to play out. In this case, that would imply that Bitcoin, moves up from here. If we look at December monthly returns, we find that the average return for winning December month, so assuming that December closes green, is actually over 31%. The median return is actually is over 35%. So that's actually quite compelling as well. Again, taking that from the current open, 30% puts Bitcoin where? That puts Bitcoin at $125,000. It sounds a little bit crazy to me right now, but hey, when we do see green September or December, that has been the average return. In the case of a loss, an average loss is about 15% almost. So again, taking that from our current open, which was right here, shaping off 15%, Bitcoin, potentially comes down to very low 80s. So, if Bitcoin really starts to violate what we spoke about earlier, especially if Bitcoin comes below this week's low, below Monday's low, especially if it closes the daily below there, yeah, okay. At that point, I capitulate. It's very likely coming down very low $80,000 territory, and we can get prepared for a much more prolonged sideways range between about 80,000 to 100,000, which would actually bode very, very well for the cycle continuing deeper into 2025. But assuming that Bitcoin does continue from here, it's really going to make me more confident, I guess. It's not the proper word that I'm looking for, but more confident, because it's the only word that I can think of right now, that the video that I uploaded last week with regards to the timing of the end of this cycle is going to be more and more correct, at least directionally. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to get into the HPDR for our higher term timeframes, because there are some interesting correlations between what we just looked at on the monthly returns and what we're seeing right here on the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame we do see is going to have a chance to actually close above the 61.8 level at the end of this week. That is officially at let's just call it $102,000 price per Bitcoin. Obviously, spot price action closes on Sunday. CME, however, will close tomorrow, so we probably get this information tomorrow. And if Bitcoin does close above that region, at that point, I really do suppose that things could fly up here somewhere around the 78.6 level, which is, guess where, 125 or 126,000 bucks, or at least somewhere in here, probably at least to the middle, which would be in sort of the mid to low teens for the $110,000 territory, I guess. I mean, this, again, it sounds fucking crazy to me. But yeah, looking at CME, actually very, very similar right here, but not the exact same price. In this case, I'd really be waiting for next week's open. Other than that, if Bitcoin on CME does close well above $102,000 tomorrow, we probably see spot price action follow through. And at that point, I'd have to be looking much higher, I guess. What else do we have? Monthly for CME, of course, as well. We do see, if we can populate it, the 50% level is right around where? 120,000 bucks. So if Bitcoin does have, another boost to the upside here, that's kind of an obvious area yet again for CME. Spot price action obviously would reclaim the median on any sort of a move above about 107. So, at that point, I mean, again, the cycle can get quite crazy coming into early 2025. Again, this looks fucking crazy to me, but it is what it is. 5 day over here. Well, not really too much to say about this as of the moment, because it's still got 3.5 days left to go. But, look, as long as it's above the current 5 day low, which is essentially, I think 2 days ago low, 95,750. No, that was yesterday's low. Yeah, yesterday's low. Upside, the more like the direction. If Bitcoin even comes back down below yesterday's low, I mean, that is highly, highly suspect. So I'd actually even say, I probably wouldn't even be looking at this week's low. I'd be looking at yesterday's low, Wednesday's low. If Bitcoin comes back below there, especially if it closes it daily below there, something else certainly is going on. But until then, I felt very bizarre recently about continuing to be bullish, but I have to continue to be bullish again today, I suppose. Just higher probability of upside versus downside as of this moment. Of course, that is different than the lower term timeframes. If we go over here to the 4-hour time frame, we do see that there is potential, although it isn't really there right now, but there is going to be potential for a hidden bearish divergence. So maybe a short-term pullback, maybe testing around that mid 99 number, but it's not even confirmed as of right now. How would you even confirm it? Oh, it's not even going to be helpful in this regard, because in order to confirm it, we need to come back down below this low, which is 99,700, close below there. And then at that point, probably do unravel most of yesterday's rally. But for right now, I guess still holding in there. I'm curious to see if we have any sort of potential for the 12-hour to put hidden bearish divergence. No, in fact, it just confirmed hidden bullish divergence. So not bad. Yeah, I'm looking for counterpoints here. 6-hour time frame. No, it did not make higher highs on 6-hour RSI. So yeah, I guess the only way that I really confirm that hidden bearish divergence is if it comes back down again below this low. It's called like 99.7, close the 4-hour dildo below there. At that point, yeah, I'm probably going to unravel most of yesterday's rally. That's going to start to look not so good. But until then, you're going to hear me continue to be cautiously bullish, I guess. I'm actually curious what lower term time frame oscillators look like. There's got to be something obvious here, right? 4-hour time frame, yeah, again, this one could very easily pull back. Momentum will turn down below 107,000. 100,700. Jesus Christ, that's a fucking mouthful. 6-hour time frame, still headed up here. 12-hour time frame, just out of curiosity, is freshly up as well. So yeah, all this to say, as long as Bitcoin's above 100,000 bucks, I mean, this thing can fucking explode, I guess. It just feels weird. Not that feeling should really be playing any role in it. Anyways, we'll do one last little checkup with the quantum wave bands. We do see that there was a more recent trade from Monday open. Is this one? Nah, technically, I mean, it was a very slight gain, but not a big fan of this one right here. Of course, I always want to be presenting these in the most transparent way possible. And of course, this one over here did just signal an entry kind of recently around current price action, perhaps boding well for Bitcoin not confirming that hidden bearish divergence here and actually playing on an upside move. So I guess we'll see. 30-minute time frame, hasn't seen a new trade since Saturday, so nothing to update there as well. Very, very short scalp right there as well. Anyways, we'll end things on that note. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. How was that for you? That was interesting. And see you tomorrow. No. Of course, I would like to, or no, I've already said everything that I need to say. Yeah, take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.